All right, ready to go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to the June 11, 2024 Millbrae City Council meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:10 p.m. And City Clerk, would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Snyder?
Present.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Here.
Councilmember Pappen?
Here.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Here.
Mayor Fung?
Here.
All members of City Council are present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. And if you are interested in speaking under the public communication for item not on tonight's agenda, you must first raise your hand on Zoom or submit your speaker slip to the City Clerk by 7:15 p.m. tonight. Again, using the raise your hand feature on Zoom or submit your speaker slip by 7:15 p.m. for public communication. For all other items, you can raise your hand when the title is heard. Tonight, the first item is a ceremonial presentation, the proclamation proclaiming June 19, 2024 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day. And Mr. Vice Mayor, would you mind doing us this honor?
Sure. I was looking to see if Alexis Lewis was here.
Yes, and we do have Ms. Alexis.
Huh? Oh, remote. Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay, we have NWACP, the Mateo chapter member, Alexis Lewis, accepting the proclamation today. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thanks. Okay. I didn't know if I was going to have to do this and accept it as well. So, all right. All right, Alexis.
Hi.
All right. So Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, holds great historical and cultural significance as a commemoration of the emancipation of enslaved Africans. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger led troops into Galveston, Texas, to announce the end of the Civil War and to end slavery. Sorry, turn my phone on. End of the Civil War, and 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas on June 21st, Juneteenth has been recognized as a federal national holiday by President Joseph Biden. And whereas the city of Millbrae recognizes the profound importance of Juneteenth in its representation of liberation, resilience, and relentless pursuit of equality. Juneteenth has been celebrated since 1866, representing a critical turning point in American history, as those who were formerly enslaved were recognized for the first time as citizens. African Americans came to commemorate Juneteenth with celebrations across the country. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates African American freedom and achievements while encouraging continuous self-development and respect for all races, as it takes on a national, symbolic, and global perspective of appreciation for all cultures. And whereas the Millbrae community and everyone across the nation should continue to recognize the importance of inclusion for all races, ethnicities, and nationalities, and work together towards equality by equitably expanding cultural, economic, educational, and career opportunities for all. Now, therefore, be resolved that the members of Millbrae City Council do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, excuse me. Any other council member would like to make any comments? Ms. Pappen?
Yeah, sorry. There a part here. You want to? We urge all citizens to become aware of the significance of this celebration of American history and in the heritage of our nation and state. We invite the community to join us at the city's second annual Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, June 15th. The celebration starts at 10 a.m. at Civic Plaza, where the Juneteenth flag, will be raised. It will be followed by a parade that will conclude at Millbrae Central Park, where the festival will take place. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Councilmember Pappen.
I just thought that was important.
All right. And we're glad to have you here, Ms. Alexis Lewis. Always excited to have you join our council meeting. The mic is yours.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Fung. Vice Mayor Goodman, members of the council, and city staff for recognizing Juneteenth 2024. I'm Alexis Lewis, a member of the San Mateo NAACP, and this evening I'm going to accept this proclamation on behalf of our president, Maurice Goodman, and the other members of our branch. Juneteenth celebrates the Juneteenth celebration in 1865 or 1866. I think there's a debate about what year it was. Were similar to the ones that are happening this weekend throughout the cities of San Mateo County. The celebrations recognize the ongoing fight for human rights, equality, and are commemorated through community parades, faith services, musical performances, cookouts, and storytelling. Juneteenth is a joyous holiday and should be celebrated by all Americans. I'd like to close with just sharing a little bit of what our Vice President Kamala Harris said last night at a Juneteenth celebration at the White House. This Juneteenth, we hold a national day of action on voting. And I call on the community leaders to please join us in helping more Americans register to vote. Because while Juneteenth is a day for celebration, it is also a day for dedication, a day to rededicate ourselves to the ongoing and unlimited work of our American experiment, a day to renew our commitment to defend our freedoms, to honor our history, and to continue to fight for the promise of America. Thank you again for this recognition and giving me the opportunity to speak, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lewis. And anything else? Okay, all right. Second item is proclaiming the June 20th to June 26th, 2024 as Mosquito Control Awareness Week. And tonight we have San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District Trustee Mohammed Baluman and District Manager Brian Weber accepting this proclamation. And Ms. Cahalan.
Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight, the city of Millbrae, California, we proclaim whereas National Mosquito Control Awareness Week will increase the public's awareness of the threat of disease and encourage the public to take action in preventing mosquito-transmitted disease, and will highlight the activities of the various mosquito and vector research and control agencies working to minimize the health threat within California. And whereas excess numbers of mosquitoes and other vectors spread disease, reduce the enjoyment of both public and private outdoor living spaces, reduce property values, hinder outdoor work, reduce livestock productivity, and have a negative impact on the environment. And whereas, as a result of the threat mosquitoes pose to California's economic development and health of its citizens, 108 years ago, the California legislature enacted California's Mosquito Abatement Districts Act. Whereas professional mosquito and vector control based on scientific research has made great advances in safely reducing mosquito and vector populations and the diseases they transmit. And whereas the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District's mission is to safeguard the health and comfort of the citizens of San Mateo County through a science-based program of integrated vector management. And whereas the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District works with mosquito and vector control districts throughout California, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and the California Department of Public Health to reduce pesticide risks to humans for mosquitoes and vector-borne diseases and nuisances. Now therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim week of June 20th to 26th, 2024 as Mosquito Awareness Week.
Thank you so very much. And with Trustee Mohammed Baloum and District Manager Brian Weber, would you like to say a few words, please? Yes. And we also have a presentation tonight for the annual San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District update as well.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us and celebrating Mosquito Control Awareness Week. I'm Brian Weber, the District Manager of San Mateo County Vector Control. Next slide. Okay, so who are we? We are a taxpayer-funded special district. So whereas we serve the entire county, we are not directly tied to the county as you would think of in Redwood City. We have our taxpayer funds that are directed just at the public health resource, mosquito and vector control. So we have state-certified vector control technicians, and you guys already heard what the mission of our district is. A couple of interesting things as we've been doing mosquito control for over 100 years. We first started doing mosquito control in 1909. Over 100 years old. We do have a 21-member board, so being a special district, we have each council appoints a board member from every city, and then we have one member from the county at large. So this is some of the primary services we offer. A lot of what we do is mosquito control. Our technicians have over 10,000 sources of water that they've had to treat for mosquitoes. We deliver mosquito fish, so if you have a dilapidated pool, a pond, ornamental fountain, the district will come and deliver and put mosquito fish in that pool, and it's a good way not to, it doesn't require pesticide to kill the mosquito larva, and those mosquito fish can last for over 10 years. We do insect IDs and tick research. So if a resident has any type of insect in their property or they find it somewhere in the county, they can give us a call. Someone from the district will come and pick it up, or they could even send us pictures and someone from our laboratory will identify them and let them know what it is and if it's of public health significance. So rodent inspections. If a resident has a rodent issue, whether in the backyard or in the house, if it's in the house, one of our technicians will come out and give you a customized report. Our goal is vectors can give you a disease when they're close to humans. So the goal of the technician will be to keep the rodents out of the home. Quite often, if you call a pest control company, they'll come and set some traps, but what we're looking to do is keep the rodents getting into your space. So you'll receive a customized report and help you with how to keep rodents out of your living space. Yes. Yeah, so of course at the bottom there's everything's paid for by taxes. There's no additional charge for a technician to come. Yellow jacket control, that also includes wasps. So you might see under the eaves of your home, there'll be little what look like many think of yellow jackets. They're actually wasps, so we'll come and get rid of those for you. Or if you know where a yellow jacket nest is, and yellow jackets are the ones when you try and have a backyard barbecue, they like to go onto your food or into your soda. So if you know where the nest is, we can come out and remove that nest for you. And then of course, community education, for instances like this. I'll talk about our open house that's coming up this weekend. We do community fairs, and we do over 100 classroom community education a year. Disease surveillance, we go out and look for ticks and look for prevalence of Lyme disease in the county. We trap mosquitoes and we test them in-house for West Nile virus and other diseases. And I'll just mention one more time, there is no charge for us to come out. It's all paid for through taxpayer. Okay, so what do some of these things look like? You see, this is a mosquito fish. In the upper left, we actually breed these at the district, and this is what you would be getting if you called for your dilapidated pond or pool. This is the yellow jacket that I just spoke about that many of you are familiar with, and of course, everyone's familiar with rodents. So one thing I didn't mention, even if rodents are just in your backyard, we obviously can't get rid of any rodent, but a technician could still come out and speak to how you could reduce your backyard to. Okay, so it wouldn't be Mosquito Control Awareness Week if I didn't mention the mosquito life cycle. So what you see here is an adult mosquito. They bite you because they need the nutrition to lay these eggs that you see down there on the right. Each female mosquito can lay up to 250, 300 eggs. So you can imagine just one mosquito, how quickly this life cycle can turn into thousands or even hundreds of thousands. In the bottom there is what you typically see in the water. So most of you know mosquitoes breed in standing water. And this is, on the left side is the pupa. That's right before they go to the adult. So that's the cycle. They bite you, they get nourishment, they lay eggs, and it continues. Okay, this is a particular mosquito that I wanted to mention. You'll see this map from the California Department of Public Health, Health Advisory. So why am I mentioning this mosquito? It's an invasive tropical mosquito that you can see right here. This is a bottle cap in the right-hand side, and how many mosquito larvae can fit in a bottle cap. So these are considered invasive. They are not native to California. And the problem with these mosquitoes is they can transmit diseases like Zika, dengue, chikungunya, and yellow fever. Our native mosquitoes cannot transmit those diseases. So you'll notice on this map on the left, the mosquitoes like the warmer parts of the state. We have had them in San Mateo County, but our district is the only one that was able to achieve eradication status, which is 2 years without the mosquito, and that was in 2015. So it took the district 2 years to eradicate the mosquito, and since 2015, we have not found the mosquito in this county. However, as you can see, it's getting closer and closer to San Mateo County, so we do anticipate that it will show up again. Slide. So what can residents, citizens do to help us out? One thing is, if you're getting mosquito bites or experiencing anything that I just spoke about, is call the district. But you can also dump your standing water. So you can see any types of containers, plant saucers, pet bowls. We talked about pools and ponds. That's one thing. Pools and ponds are a little harder to drain. That's where you can call a technician, but little things, as mentioned on this infographic, are things that residents can help us out by dumping out. And on the right side, we are going into West Nile virus season. We do have West Nile virus in San Mateo County. It is very uncommon for a human to get West Nile virus in San Mateo County, but it has happened. And one of the ways that we monitor for West Nile virus is through the report of dead birds. So here you see a crow. Corvids, crows are part of the corvid family. They're very good at amplifying the virus in their body. So they're very important to that disease cycle that I just, or the mosquito cycle. Crows are very important to the disease cycle of West Nile virus. So by reporting to westnile.ca.gov or calling the number here, we will get a call and someone will come out within 24 hours, pick up that bird, and test the bird for West Nile virus in-house in our laboratory. Slide. Okay, and I promised our outreach coordinator I would mention this. On the 15th of June, so that is this Saturday, we are having an open house. We have a lot of neat equipment. You can tour our laboratory. There'll be some kid-friendly activities, as you can see, insect displays and some refreshments. So we'd appreciate everyone coming out. That's 12 to 4, June 15th. Okay, any questions?
Councilmember Pappen?
Giving your little friend there. Where do gophers fall?
Yeah, so we actually will almost come out on any type of call. So gophers are typically not known to be vectors. However, if a resident does call them, we will come out and give advice. It's considered an agricultural pest, but
Can we designate it differently?
right. So usually what I tell people is start with us. If we can't help you, we will certainly get you in the right direction. Gophers or otherwise.
Yeah, I'd like to register them all to vote because we got a lot of them. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Anyone, go ahead, Councilmember Ann Schneider.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the open house and our Juneteenth at the same time. I've been disabled the last 5 months, so my backyard has pots all over the place, and I have cobbles to get out there, so I've avoided it. I think I'm going to go out there and tip over all my pots. But if you're a resident that has a disability or age and can't get to their backyards to do something as simple as turning over the pots, what can we do? How can we help?
100%. If you call the district, a technician will come out and do that.
Honestly, even for something as silly as dump over
Absolutely.
my pots on, wow, that is really cool.
If you call the district, a technician will be out within 1 business day.
Okay. I feel guilty, but for the public to know that there is help for you to help with our backyards, because we've had some mosquitoes in the house. I have a almost 97-year-old. I'm scared to death of mosquito bites. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Just want to emphasize that the district is here to help our residents if there is any need for, as we said, wasp, mosquitoes, vectors like mouse, rats. They've been anytime you need a call, you just feel free to call them. They are available. You could reach them online or call the phone number. One thing that I wanted basically to speak here, it's about the West Nile virus. I know we talk about it a lot, but I want just to remind our community that this virus is being mostly transmitted by mosquitoes, and this disease is basically untreatable. So if you get it, there is no treatment. You could, and around 1% of the people who get transmitted, they could develop to severe side effect that could lead to death. So therefore, the most important to prevent yourself from getting the mosquitoes bites beyond what our district is doing, and actually our district is doing great. Like for the last, I've been there in the last 7 years, and I think maybe 1 or 2 times we found dead birds that they were having the West Nile virus. But beside our district taking care of that, you if when you go hiking, you need to use a preparant to prevent yourself from getting bite. Remove any outsiding water after the rain that is sitting in the backyard. This is really very helpful for us to prevent. Again, this disease, West Nile virus, is not an easy disease, and therefore it's the best way to take care of that is not to have any mosquitoes in the area. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Pappen.
So this information is all on our website, if anybody's looking for it here. What about the fruit trees? So is that you too, or is that the county that comes and puts these little traps in our fruit trees?
Yeah, that's the county ag department.
Got it, okay. But they're all trying to help us, either way. Thank you.
So if raccoons are getting in your house, if they're just in your yard, there's not a ton we can do for that. You can always call us. Every situation is different. I tell people, call us, tell us your situation.
That's wildlife and a different agency. I will tell you what the SPCA and other organizations advise is having a larger animal mark their territory in your yard. That would be a human. You could do that at the entry points, and it tends to discourage them somewhat.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for the update, gentlemen, and obviously keeping all of us safe and keeping us all healthy and keeping the mosquitoes and all these transmittable disease away from the entire county. We have a proclamation for you gentlemen, and we'd like to have a photo op with you. If you can join us at the podium over there. Yeah. All right, next up on the agenda is a staff briefing and agenda overview. City Manager, would you please?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening to you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Tom Williams, City Manager. So the first slide, if you will, Mr. Eduardo. So the city applied for reimbursement for expenses that we incurred from the storm season in December 22 through January of 2023. I'm just happy to report to the City Council that we've received reimbursement in the amount of $158,307 for reimbursements for those expenses that we incurred. That includes fallen tree damage, tools, equipment, things like that that we had used, had to purchase, and obviously street tree damage and private property damage, actually, that we were able to help out on. So good news coming from our partners at FEMA with that $158,000 reimbursement. Also, Marina Vista Park is now closed. Construction will start tomorrow. This is for the park renovation project that will commence in earnest, and that construction will take us through October, probably middle October when the park is open. So we're looking forward to a nice ribbon cutting of the new park over in Marina Vista. Also very happy to report, I know all the council members were there, and we had a great turnout with the Mills graduation and their graduating class of 2024 and the block party. We have a little video that we'd like to share with the community and the city council. I know you're there, but pretty neat, and thanks to MCTV for putting this together.
Yeah, we're just so grateful and so happy that we can, come back, after we've had some of our things to just, stay home, perform for our hometown and just enjoy the environment, because everyone here is so nice and so respectful, and they support us so much, and we're just so happy that we can, give back to our community by, performing at our block party.
And it truly is an honor to be able to be performing here for the city and for our town, for Millbrae, because after The Voice and just performances, we really it's been such a ride, and Millbrae has done so much for us to be able to let us do the things we do, and with the support that you guys give us. So we're just really grateful to be able to do this for you guys. Yeah.
All right, so that's Justin and Jeremy Garcia, obviously the twins that became pretty famous from The Voice, representing the city of Millbrae. I'd also like to thank, obviously all the students that participated, the graduating class from Mills High School, city staff, Principal Pamela Dzinski, Assistant Principal Jonathan White, and especially Karen Batucci, community member, who all worked together to make this great concert and end of the school year festivity happen. So very much appreciate that. Next slide. The city of Millbrae also, in partnership with the San Mateo County LGBTQIA+ Commission, we did raise the flag in a ceremony. It's the Progress Pride flag this past Friday. Again, this is just a testament to the city council, the community, the city's commitment to the LGBTQIA+ community. And the flag will be flown proudly throughout the month of June, celebrating Pride Month. So we'd like to thank everyone who came out to be part of this flag raising ceremony. And here are a few photos, and definitely thank you to the County Commission for helping us out. Next slide. So upcoming events, we have Millbrae Goes to the Movies this Friday featuring Trolls Band Together. Again, that's Friday, June 14th, starting at 8:30 p.m. or sunset. We do have food trucks, popcorn, so usually kids, everyone gets there right around 6:30 to enjoy some of the pre-movie festivities. So we hope everyone can join us. Hopefully it'll be a nice evening and good weather like this evening for this Friday. Next slide. As was mentioned, we have our upcoming Juneteenth celebration. That's this Saturday, June 15th. Starting at 10 a.m., we have a flag raising ceremony. This is at Civic Center Plaza. This is in the flag ceremony area between the David J. Cicutti room and the library. After the flag raising, right around 10:30, we have a Juneteenth parade. It's hard to see on the map, but from the City Hall parking lot, we will, I think we have right now about 15 participants. We'll start at City Hall, go north up Magnolia to Meadow Glen, move over to Broadway, right down Broadway past Taylor to Hillcrest, make a right on Hillcrest, come back up Magnolia, up Library Lane, traverse over to Poplar, and in at the park. And we have a great band. We've got the Black Cowboys and their horse team. I think all 10 horses from the horse team will be here. Community groups, classic cars, of course, the city council riding in our historic LaFrance fire engine. So it should be just a really terrific community event. And again, it's this Saturday, 10 a.m., parade about 10:30 down Broadway. And then after that, we have festivities, a lot of food, a lot of musicians and entertainment to celebrate Juneteenth. And that will be at Central Park starting around 11. Next slide, please. And then we have our Beats, Brews, and Vines. Our kickoff for that community concert will be Thursday, July 4th. That's at 12 p.m. at Millbrae Central Park. And we have two bands, A Cut Above and the band Bust a Groove. They've both played with us before. A Cut Above used to be called the As Is Band, so they're a local group here in Millbrae, and Bust a Groove has played with us the last couple of years, and they're fantastic. So we're looking for a big crowd out there on the 4th of July afternoon in Central Park. And Mayor and Council, that concludes an overview of what's happening in Millbrae.
Thank you so very much. All right, so moving on to the approval of minutes. And we have regular meeting minutes on April 9, 2024, special meeting minutes April 23rd, 2024, regular meeting minutes April 23rd, special meeting minutes May 14, regular meeting minutes May 14, special and regular meeting minutes on May 28th, and also special meeting minutes on May 29, special meeting minutes on June 4th. All of them are action items. Any comments, questions, Councilmember and Schneider?
Happy to make a motion to approve. I had one question. Because I was absent in my 9 years, I have only missed 2 council meetings and then a half a meeting when I was sick, but it marked me down as remote twice, even though I know it was 2 meetings, but it was the same day. So technically, I can't miss anything else this year. It's just a comment on that. It is what it is, but I was surprised when I read the minutes. With that, I'm happy to make a motion to approve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sets of minutes.
Happens
Thank you.
second.
We got a motion, we got a second. Any further comments? City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Snyder.
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Aye.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
The 9 sets of minutes are approved by 5-0.
Thank you so very much.
And
Moving
Mr.
along.
Mayor, through
Yes,
the
go
mayor, real
ahead.
quick, I would like to report out on May 28th, May 29th, June 4th, and June 11th this evening. The city council had closed sessions, and there's no reportable action in any of those 4 meetings at this point.
Thank you for the updates. All right. Moving on to item number 4, oral reports from city committees and commissioners chair. We don't have any tonight. And then next up is public communication. And this portion of the agenda is reserved for those who wish to comment on any item not appearing on tonight's agenda. The speaker must address subject matter within the jurisdictions of the city council. We counted about 12 in-council speaker tonight and 3 online speaker hand raised, so that's total 15. In the spirit of maintaining this public comment no more than 30 minutes, everyone will have equal amount of 2 minutes to speak tonight. The speaker is to address directly to the entire council, not individual council members nor the public. We will first begin with in-person speaker and then followed by speakers online. The first speaker tonight is Jimmy, followed by Aisin.
Honorable Mayor, esteemed Vice Mayor, council members, for 8 relentless months, Gaza has endured continuous massacres. 7 months have passed since we first addressed this council, seeking acknowledgement of the profound anguish that this genocide has inflicted upon our Millbrae community. We implored you to call for a ceasefire that could save countless lives. Instead of the much-needed resolution, we were urged to place our faith in promises, eventual action. Our faith, however, is waning. How much longer must we wait for this council to recognize the suffering that our community endures? How long must we wait for this council to take action? We demand an immediate ceasefire resolution so that we know that our city stands on the side of justice, and to put pressure on decision makers to halt the bloodshed, to facilitate delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, and to secure the release of hostages from all sides. This council must take a definitive stand. Silence in the face of atrocity is complicity. This issue has galvanized our community to unprecedented level of activism. We expect your principled, humanitarian, and urgent response. Thank you.
Thank you. Eisen, followed by Gail Grinsell.
Good evening, Mayor Fung, Vice Mayor Goodman, fellow Millbrae City Council members. My name is Eisen, and although I'm a resident of San Bruno, I am your neighbor and a fellow member of the San Mateo community here in this county. And I am here to also urge you to bring forth a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza and to also approve it. I cannot justify or think of any reason that you could not stand for this ceasefire and approve it, because this is the only way that we can make our voices heard and to do something with all the bloodshed, the ethnic cleansing that's going on, and the apartheid and injustice that's occurring in the Middle East. I'm not Palestinian, Israeli, I'm from the Pacific Islander community, and yet still I am urging you and beseeching upon you to vote in favor of a ceasefire for all the bloodshed that's going on. I wish that the hostages are released, but I also wish that the countless tens of thousands of innocent lives stops being shed, these innocent lives that could be protected if we just speak up as a member of this community. You say so beautifully in your land acknowledgement to the Ramai Tush Ohalani people that the Millbrae community embraces indigenous traditional ecological knowledge, and that you care for the city's lands, waters, and all its peoples. Is that limited to only Millbrae, or does it extend to the world and the globe beyond? I want to urge you to exercise some honest introspection and to exercise compassion and empathy, and especially courage to put forward this vote and to vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Eisen. We have Gail Grinsell, followed by Isaac Goodman.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I understand that the things I'm going to talk about tonight are not things that you can act upon, but I hope that you will agendize them at an upcoming meeting. You can't hear me?
Just get closer.
Okay, all right, sorry.
No worries.
So the first thing I want to talk about is that I think it's really important for you to keep the community informed about things is the La Quinta project. And I saw that there was a big article in the recent newsletter, but I also read today that the county has given $40 million for construction of 470 or some huge number of units from Daly City to Menlo Park. I think spending $33 million on one ex-motel in Millbrae is ridiculous, and I appreciate what you're doing, but please keep fighting for that and keep the community informed. I also think it could be very important for you to do a survey of how many vacant residential units there are in this city. We keep hearing about the homeless, they need places to live. I don't like to see people living on the street, but I also see many for lease, for rent signs in all of these new apartment buildings. So I think that would be very important for the council to act on. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is the recent vandalism at the rec center. I have not heard that addressed in any public way. I take a class at the rec center. You see the big sign when you go to get in the elevator, that the upstairs is closed because of vandalism.
Thank you, Ms. Grinsell. Thank you so much. And then we have Isaac Goodman, followed by Amanda.
Mayor and council members, my name is Isaac Goodman, and I'm standing here for you today as an anti-Zionist Jew to beg you to agendize a ceasefire and ultimately vote for a permanent ceasefire. I've heard the belief that voting for a ceasefire is anti-Semitic. I'm here to tell you that that's not true. In celebration of Juneteenth, I will say this. When youths of the 1960s joined Black people fighting Jim Crow segregation and lynching in the South, they were not anti-white people. They were opposing a horrible system of injustice. It is Israel's heinous actions against the Palestinians that perpetuate the increase of hatred towards Jews. Acts of mowing the lawn, which is exactly what it sounds like, weaponizing self-victimization to justify their so-called defense, and their lack of accountability while not allowing others to criticize their actions are the goals that Israel's trying to continue to do. And they do that through collective punishment, which is not justifiable. If you keep asking why Israel is doing what it's doing, I can guarantee it stems from entitlement. Oh, how the oppressed has become the oppressor. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. We have Amanda, followed by Ed Musa.
Good evening, Council. I live in Daly City. I'm a member of San Mateo County, and I'm a Palestinian American first generation. I'm involved in Millbrae. I do the Author Fest here at the library every year, and it's a great community. And at the beginning of this meeting, you stood up and you looked at the flag and you asked for liberty and justice for all. All people. That includes people of my bloodline. Last Saturday, a massacre killed nearly 300 Palestinian people, and it was made possible by the USA. They were disguised as aid trucks, and then they entered the refugee camp, killing almost 300 people, claiming it was a rescue mission to save 4. In what world is that just? This is a US matter, and your gesture of drafting and ultimately passing a permanent ceasefire resolution will show Joe Biden that you do not stand for these lies and crimes. This is no longer just a US-backed genocide, but it is actually done by the USA. These were US soldiers described or disguised as aid workers. Say something and show that you care about human life, liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. We have Ed Musa, followed by John M.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. Again, I've been up here every single council meeting asking for you to put ceasefire resolution on the agenda. Keep on hearing words, lots of words. We set up a draft resolution and send it out. I've spoken to a few of the council people, and since I sent out the draft, I haven't heard a word. thinking that you were going to put it on the agenda this week, but yet you didn't. I don't understand why. Is the reason, I don't know, you don't believe in it? The reason that you are just don't want to do it? Is there pressure that's coming to you that's not allowing it? But each and every time that I've spoken to all of you, it seemed like it was going good and you were thinking about doing it. But now, some of you can't even look me in the eye and talk to me about it some more, even though we've had some serious discussions about it. I wish that you would show that draft and put it up on the agenda and pass it. I don't need to keep on saying how many people have died. I don't need to show how many people have died. You can look at anything and everywhere, and you can see how they're dying. It's not okay. I hope you don't think it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Musa. We have John M., followed by Devante.
Hello, Council. Palestinian families, well, I'm a Millbrae resident and first-generation Palestinian. Palestinian families in Millbrae are directly connected to people dying and suffering in Gaza and in Palestine. We are a city with a large, diverse immigrant community that connects us directly to global issues. We need to pass a ceasefire resolution to show our community members we are about their community, especially while they're experiencing a humanitarian crisis and genocide. Without U.S. financial support, military supplies, and diplomatic cover, the apartheid state would not be able to continue this genocidal military assault and siege of Gaza. Thus, it is important for us as people in the U.S. to support grassroots movements to end U.S. complicity with this genocide. Our actions in conjunction with national and international protests, college and campus will pressure federal elected officials into ending U.S. support of this genocide by moving them to support a ceasefire now and allow humanitarian aid to enter in a mass scale and safe distribution of aid. Local grassroots movements like the Sanctuary City movement and the anti-apartheid movement successfully shaped U.S. foreign policy and geopolitics in the past by pressuring local city governments. A ceasefire resolution is part of a growing grassroots movement that will do the same to create justice for Palestine. The grassroots movement for a ceasefire resolution in Millbrae has brought people together across racial and religious backgrounds. Our movement for a ceasefire is about creating peace and justice. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have Devante, followed by Mohammed.
Good evening, City Council members. As we celebrate Juneteenth, I urge you to take action by siding with justice and peace over violence. By agendizing and passing an immediate ceasefire resolution in Gaza, I won't spend time explaining to you all how catastrophic child slavery was in this country. Instead, I will tell you how the genocide in Gaza is a local issue because it negatively impacts your constituents. It's been 8 months since the genocide has escalated, and this council made a harmful decision to have the Palestinian community collaborate with their oppressors on April 9th. That's like saying, well, let's have Black people who are enslaved work together with white people who are against slavery to discuss the idea of ending slavery in a peaceful manner. You understand how harmful that is. There is no peace without justice. Millbrae wants a ceasefire, and we all need you all to be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you, Devante. Mohammed. Okay, we'll come back. All right, we have Mr. Ken Smith, followed by Kasan Shemaya.
Mayor and council members, thank you for all your hard work that you do every single day for this community. I truly appreciate it. Just a small subject, mayor at large. I know we talked about mayor at large in past, and I really haven't heard anything publicly addressed about the mayor at large. I know my curiosity is it feasible? Is it not feasible? I feel like 5 districts is too big for a little town like Millbrae, and a mayor at large and 4 districts would be probably more appropriate. And the other thing too is that with the consistency of a mayor at large, we have regional committees that each one of you belong to. And when there's too much rotation going on, there's seems to be, because when you belong to a committee, it takes a little bit to get up to speed in the regional committee so you have a full understanding so you can represent Millbrae properly. And so I'm just kind of thinking to myself is that if we try to slow down the rotation with the mayor at large and reduce the districts, that we could have better representation in a regional venue. And that way, we could be more functional for Millbrae and support Millbrae in these regional, because I think sometimes we just get bullied over because we're just such a small little town. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. We have Kashan Shemaya, followed by Stephen Rinaldi.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, esteemed members of City Council, and fellow residents. Today, my message is about leadership and what defines true leadership. Leadership is not merely holding a position of power. It's about making tough and sometimes, yes, unpopular decisions, but doing so for the greater good of the community, regardless of what the issue may be. Our City Council's role is crucial in steering Millbrae towards a prosperous and inclusive future. We face diverse opinions and at times vocal opposition. However, it's important to remember that true leadership demands courage and it demands foresight. It requires us to look beyond the noise and to focus on what truly benefits the constituents of this city. Making decisions that serve the long-term interests of our city, even when they're difficult, is the hallmark of responsible governance. It is the council's duty to listen, to consider all perspectives, but ultimately to act with the conviction that your choices will lead to a better Millbrae for all. True leadership shines in moments of challenge, and it is in these moments that we must demonstrate our commitment to the values and to the well-being of our community. I encourage you to stand firm, to make informed and bold decisions, and lead Millbrae with integrity and with vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Kasan. We have Steve Rinaldi, and then we move on to online speaker after.
Thank you, Mayor Fung, Council. I come before you tonight to discuss La Quinta. Through the magic of a Public Records Act, I was able to attain the actual application that Mike Callaghan's County Executive Office filed with California Interagency Council on Homelessness. You'll remember that they recently received $14 million from this agency. And in their actual application, they're asked to describe how harm reduction principles will be incorporated into the outreach, interim housing, if applicable, and permanent housing aspects of this ERF project. This is the county executive's own words. Our shelters and permanent supportive housing locations are low barrier. Sobriety is not required for services. People who are using substances will be supported in creating plans to reduce, but won't be required to do so. Folks, this is a long, far cry from what he promised us back in July 11th, 2023, when Mike Callaghan wheeled out ECS CEO Beth Stokes and told us they would have a dry facility. So I'm looking at the council tonight, each and every one of you. This property sits less than 50 yards from a K-5 elementary school playground. I want to see by a show of hands who's supporting this project today, knowing that they're going to take people who have active substance abuse issues and enable them to use substances in a facility less than 50 yards away from an elementary school playground. Anybody? Anyone want to raise their hand to support that tonight? No? No one? Good. I expect you all to support the Article 34 lawsuit and fight Mike Calley all the way to the bitter end. We're right, he's wrong, he can deal with it and find another location. There's 26 other spots which he passed over and won't even tell us where they are. Last thing I'll say, I support the mayor at large. We have a lot of tribal knowledge that's sitting up here that's put in the time and the representation on a regional level, and we need to maintain it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, all right, so we have two online speakers that raised their hand before 7:15. We have Grace X, followed by Heber. City Clerk?
Grace X, please accept the unmute.
Yes, hello. I would like to direct you to the portion of the proclamation for Juneteenth that states, whereas Juneteenth commemorates African American freedom and achievement while encouraging continuous self-development and respect for all races. Second part I'd like you to address is, whereas the Millbrae community and everyone across the nation should continue to recognize the importance of inclusion for all races, ethnicities, and nationalities. I have to ask whether the speaker that read that proclamation was just providing lip service to the community. Because I will remind everybody that the speaker minimized white people, whereas he doubled down on a racist statement and he stated that he was glad that I personally was pissed off at the statement that read, I am only on this app to piss off the uneducated white people. That is a racist statement, and now he is acting president of the San Mateo NAACP and vice mayor of the city. He is a racist. He does not mean to be inclusive with all races in the city. He's just self-serving, and I urge everybody to support the recall of this vice mayor. If anybody would like to understand fully what transpired, they may reach out to me. Second of all, I would like to talk about the ceasefire and tell the city council to stay in their lane. They do not know the issues that are involved in this issue. Remember, everybody thought the Hunter Biden laptop was real, and it's not.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you. Thank you, Grace. And then we have Heba, and then we'll come back to the speaker slip, Mohammed, who hasn't had his turn. All right, Heba?
Heba, please accept the unmute.
Hello, City Council. My name is Hiba, and I have been a resident of Millbrae for 25 years. Some constituents, such as the speaker before me, may have mentioned their feelings against passing or agendizing a ceasefire resolution. But the reality is that it's highly inappropriate and offensive for anyone to attempt to compare the pain of the colonizer and the colonized when it is not comparable in the least. There is no time for indifference or to consider the feelings of the aggressor when Palestinians are being tortured, raped with metal hot rods, forced to endure electric shocks, man-made famine, and murdered each day. There have been countless verified reports from Israeli as well as Arab media sources, in addition to the New York Times and the UN, regarding inhumane conditions, sexual assaults, torture of abducted Palestinians. This council is still unaware of all the video footage and evidence regarding this topic, then you have failed your constituents. We are and have been pleading to this council for months to call for a permanent ceasefire. Those who remain silent in the face of genocide are either complicit, ignorant, or possess personal interests, whether it be financial or otherwise. I highly doubt this council will allow itself to be considered under any of these categories. This vote is simple, moral decision. Do you want this genocide to stop or not? Palestinians have suffered at the hands of the Zionist occupation since 1948, long before October 7th. Zionism has created a false narrative that associates Jewish livelihood at the expense of Palestinian lives in their displacement. But We now have reached a turning point in history where our tax dollars are being used to fund the most well-documented genocide in history, making this our responsibility to end. The international community has called for a humanitarian ceasefire, so should Millbrae. There's no question to be asked. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for Mohammed. Okay, all right, so that ends our public communication tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just for people listening to understand what is the legal aspects of the agenda. Items not on the agenda, the council can't comment on. So this is public communication on items not on the agenda. So for the benefit of the public, unfortunately, the council, we can't comment on anything that's not on the agenda. So I just want everybody to know that, be aware.
Right, I agree. And I just concur that we can't comment on any comments made, whether it's made by a liar, a racist, or ignorant individual in the community. That's all. Am I correct?
We're not making comments.
No,
We're not making.
I was just clarifying.
comment on anything
That was
not on-
clarification, just to make sure that the public knows.
Yeah, so,
Sorry if you got burned by that.
all right. Just, I want to be clear that we're not making any comments or responses to any public comment, regardless of the nature, whether or not they're factual or not. Okay, that's it. All right, we're moving on to consent calendar. We got 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And before I spend the time reading it, does anybody want to pull any item from the consent calendars?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mayor, could you please pull agenda item number 8?
All right, got it. Anyone else? All right, so consent calendar, we have item number 5, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a second amendment to the agreement for state legislative advocacy and lobbying services with Nielsen, Mackesmar, Perennial, and Gross and Leone LLP. Number 6, adopt a resolution awarding a construction contract to VSS International, Inc. for the 2023 pavement maintenance project in the amount of $666,620. Authorizing the city manager or designee to execute a task order with Belushi Company for the construction inspection services in the amount of $74,832. Establishing a project contingency of $66,662 for a total project budget of $803,452, and authorizing the city manager for designee to execute a contract and all contract change order up to the total project budget. Approval, number 7, approved by motion a request from the Millbrae Cultural Committee for the use of the Recreation Center, Great Hall, Fitness Center, first floor hallway and lobby, 4 parking spaces in the Recreation Center parking lot, and fee adjustment and waiver for the community gathering and civic forum on July 27, 2024. Item number 9, council consideration to recess for the month of August 2024 and the meeting on December 24th, 2024. Any further comments? Or entertain a motion otherwise?
So moved.
A motion from the Vice Mayor?
Second, Pappen.
We have a second from Councilman Pappen. City Clerk.
Councilmember Snyder?
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
Consent items number 5, 6, 7, and 9 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Now bring forward item number 8, which has been pulled. It's the adoption of resolutions to order and call for a general municipal elections to be held on November 5th, 2024, to set certain policies and applicable to candidates and to request the San Mateo County Clerk to render specific election services. City Manager.
We're here to answer any questions of the city council, Mayor.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I pulled this agenda item. This is simply setting up the general election for November. And in it, historically, Millbrae has allowed candidates to have 200 words. And I pushed for 400 words for the special election because I believe that the only item in an election that has to be truthful is what is put in a candidate statement. A candidate statement is turned into the county registrar of voters, and then it's made public for a period of, don't quote me on the days, city attorney, you might know the days, I think it's 10 days. 10 days that the public can review that. And if there are any are untruths in that or misinformation, the other parties can comment on that. Now, before I became an elected, before I moved back to Millbrae, I actually did read candidate statements in 3 counties for all local election races and found things that were incorrect and had them changed. And when they were not changed, when the candidate refused, they lost their elections for misleading information. So I believe we should go to a permanent 400 words. Elections are very expensive. When this came up for the special election, in the 2020 election cycle, one candidate spent over $100,000 and another spent over $80,000 for a little city of Millbrae of about 14,000 registered voters. Elections can be very expensive. And when it's that expensive, one way to make sure you're getting your words out to the public is a good, strong candidate statement on that. So I would like to see, when I read through the agenda item, it talked about 200. I thought I caught it in the resolution that it also says 200. I'm happy to support everything else in it, but at 400 words for the candidate statement.
I just want to be clear that your comment was to suggest a 400 word for this election, or is it for all future? Because
All future, this and all future Millbrae elections. It is the one thing that you must be honest about.
okay, I think tonight's action is limited to the November election in this year and not beyond.
That is correct.
So I think hold on, let me finish. I think the future election, we will discuss it on an ongoing basis, or if there is to be some sort of either ordinance or resolution to limit that in the future, then there'll have to be a different agenda item. Correct? Legal?
Yes. For every election, regular or special, you will see these actions before you. So this will come before you. You will have
Every
the
time.
opportunity to rule every time.
And I understand that. So, but I think, Councilwoman Aya Schneider was trying to make a decision or push for a resolution that would limit all future election, which would certainly require a different action, a different agenda item. Wouldn't that be the case?
Well, I guess that would be the case. You could have a resolution establishing a policy that this would be the case. But when the action comes before you at the next election,
It'll still be discussion.
it's still going to be discussion, and whatever is contained in that resolution that's passed, 200, 400 words, will rule the day. So I'm not sure. I hear what the councilwoman is saying, and I certainly, agree that this is an issue to be determined now. And this perhaps could set a precedent for the future if that's where the council wants to go. But I'm not sure we need to make a policy. The policy can be easily changed every time the resolution comes before you for an election.
Got it. So I guess the question in front of us tonight that is in the agenda is for this November 2024 election, not the future one. Councilwoman, you want to clarify?
No, I understand your point on that, and reading the staff report. The reason that I brought it up is in the staff report, as was in the staff report for the special election, it said Millbrae's procedures or protocol, I'd have to pull it up, says that we've always had 200 words. Well, to me as a former staffer myself, when I write a staff report like that and says this is how it's always been done, it implies, as it has been, always been done. So in the future then, and it doesn't have to be a resolution, it should say that it should go into more detail of the value of a candidate statement.
Mayor, if I may.
And for equal access to being able to campaign.
If I may,
Okay.
it's your choice, 200
Yeah.
or 400, each and every time. You cannot bind a future council. And so you get to make a decision every election, as the city attorney said. That's simple. You want 200 or 400.
All right.
By general law, under the laws of California, you get to choose.
Okay, one thing at a time. We have Councilmember Cahalan, and then we have Ms. Papan after.
So I understand we have the vote on this for now, but is this an opportunity for, in the future, when these come to council, to direct staff for the staff report to have the option of 200 or 400 and to not put it on consent so that discussion can happen instead of the staff report always being a standard 200, since that has been our historic?
If I may, I think the staff report's clear that you have a choice, either 200 or 400. For your knowledge and background, we just simply pointed out that traditionally the city of Millbrae, city councils have voted for 200 words. You can go 400. It's not, it's your choice.
Correct.
Very simple.
Thank you for the clarification. Councilwoman Papan.
Yeah, I think the 200 words is, first off, they're always to be accurate, and that's why people have an opportunity to review them. So to suggest that 200 words were not, I mean, The standard still is the same. And I think the state generally has 200 words. We've been consistent with that. So I think 200 words are sufficient. Does that actually, if you have more words, does it cost the city more as far as the ballot statement goes and what goes in or the candidates more?
Elaine, there's a question about cost. I know the candidates pay for the cost of the statement, isn't that correct?
That's correct. So the county typically would give us an estimate. However, they haven't provided that yet, so I did a guesstimate. So what I tried to do is kind of look at past elections and also what we kind of believe where it would land. However, typically, the candidates would have to pay the additional costs. Normally, I never overestimate. Typically, I kind of come in maybe like $30 less, $40 less. There was one time actually it was $10 off, which was great. We don't want it to be too expensive for residents, especially if you increase to 400 words, right? The potential cost after the fact could be higher for the person who's filing it, but it depends on how many words they use. So, for example, if a a candidate used maybe 150, another used 200, of course the 150 will be less.
So,
But a little bit more to add to that, so we did get an estimate. It's about $2 a word, so we know that 200 words is 400, and for 400 words, it's $800, so we did get that estimate from.
Okay, I just think it's important to be consistent with the state, and I will point out too that most candidates will have a link to their website so that you can get in-depth information on the candidates. The more information you look into, the better here, but I will disagree with my colleague here. I do think 200 words are sufficient. Having been through multiple elections here in Millbrae, I don't think we've had complaints that the ballot statements were insufficient with the 200 words and that 400 words were needed. So to me, being consistent with the state and most other jurisdictions, I would suggest we stay with the 200 words.
Thank you. And then we have the Vice Mayor, and then afterwards we can have a redirect from Councilwoman Schneider.
Yeah,
Go
and I
ahead.
just wanted to point out, obviously, it goes up as well if we have, instead of 2 candidates, we may have 10 candidates. And yes, it's on, it says it. I mean, I don't know if they want to turn the volume up a bit. But am I correct that if it's 2 candidates versus 10 candidates, that could jump up? So it's it's the price of democracy. And, we want the choice. We want our residents to have a choice. So I don't want us to get caught up in saying, okay, let's make it as cheap as possible. What we want to do is make sure we have good qualified candidates running, as well as making sure that we understand when we're talking about the words versus how much another candidate may have that was mentioned here. It's about equity. It's about making sure that there's a sense of fairness and having an individual that does not have the means to put mailers out, to have a website and all those different things. All they may be able to do is get those 400 words. And so I think that's the comment that's being made here. And so with that being said, when we're talking about fairness, again, we may not all agree up here because it seems like we're all over the place, but that's fine for right now. And just as the city manager stated, another city council will be here at some point in the future, and they will have the say whether to make it 200 or 400. And I think we just have to kind of respectfully agree to disagree and have a vote.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Vice Mayor. I would only close, having just run unsuccessfully for Board of Supervisors, paying a lot more for my words because it covered 2.5, 4 cities and 2 half cities. However, the cost basis used to be on the cost of publication, printing, and mailing, and I haven't gotten a print ballot at all. And I went to the voter center here in Millbrae to try to pick up one for my scrapbook. I know that sounds silly. And they had not a single copy of any of the candidate statements for the March election in our vote center. So I would push back a little bit on the county. It's not a fight worth fighting. I mean, for me, that was $2,600 for that one, on that. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But I do believe that we need informed voters. And if it takes some more words, it lets them tell more about themselves. We're going to have 2 of us stepping down. You could, in theory, have 4 brand new council members by December. and you, the public, should know what you're getting when you vote. So I'll leave it with that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there's further comment at this moment, I'd like to take the Zoom user, and then we can come back. All right, Elaine, please.
All right, Zoom speaker, if you could please state your name for the record. Thank you. Zoom user, please accept the unmute.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Can I still speak about the ceasefire resolution, or it's not the time?
This is the item before, item number 8, which is with regard to the general elections to be held on November 5th, 2024. Public comment has already been closed.
Oh, it's been closed, so you cannot take any Zoom calls anymore?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So unless there's any other public comment, last call. All right, so we'll bring it back to the council. I would say this, whether it's 200 or 400, certainly the candidate statement needs to be factual and it needs to be honest. But just number of words is irrelevant to the accuracy of the information, certainly. Traditionally, it's been many years that our city has had 200 words, and I think that has been sufficient. We can agree to disagree whether or not, more words would benefit, because it certainly costs more. And as you just alluded to, Councilwoman Ann Schneider, that the elections are getting more expensive every day. So to that point, I think, 200 is, in my opinion, is sufficient, as I voted last time, and my opinion stays this time, that I think 200 is a sufficient number. Certainly, candidates are welcome to include their website or any other information that will lead to further details of their candidacy. And I think, this is kind of where I end up at this moment in time. You have a further comment? You want to make a motion? Okay.
I don't have the actual agenda item in front of me, so I'm going to read. I move that the city adopt the resolutions to order and call a general municipal election to be held on November 5th, 2024, to a set of certain policies applicable to candidates, and to request the San Mateo County Clerk to render specific election services with one addition or change to the resolution, which is to change the 200 words to 400 words.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have any seconds?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All right. Any other alternate motion? Anybody?
Oh, yeah, I'll make an alternate motion.
Can I?
Hold on one second. We'll get to you in a second. Go ahead.
I'd like to make an alternate motion to accept the staff report as written and maintain the 200 words.
Okay, we have an alternate motion. Councilwoman Cahalan, do you have a comment?
Robert, I think we have to vote first.
I believe you're putting on a substitute motion.
Substitute motion, yes.
Robert's rules?
Yep.
So we have to vote before we,
We vote on
the substitute
motion before, well, was there a second?
there was a second from Mr. Vice Mayor.
No.
Oh,
This is for the substitute motion.
Not for the substitute.
I'm talking about the first motion.
So if the substitute gets a second, we vote on the substitute. If it fails, then we vote on the first.
Okay, all right. So is there a second for the substitute motion? Or, because I think Ms. Cahalan want to make a comment. You have a,
I wanted
You
to
need a
make a brief
motion
comment
first,
on
Mayor,
the first
before a
one.
comment.
Right.
So see if there's a motion before a comment.
Second.
all right. Is there a second to the substitute motion? I'll second the substitute motion.
Now you can have comment.
All right. Ms. Cahalan, you have a comment?
On either motion? Okay. On the first motion, could we just change it to up to 400 words?
Well, the 400 is
So that
maximum.
It's that way
Can-
anyway.
It's already that way? Okay.
That's it? Okay. I second the substitute motion for 200 words, except the staff report as written. City Clerk?
This is for the vote for a substitute motion. Councilmember Snyder?
No.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
No.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
No.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
The substitute motion fails.
Okay, all right. Now we go back to the original motion. City Clerk?
This is for the original motion, and Councilmember Snyder,
Yes.
Councilmember Pappen,
No.
Councilmember Cahalan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman,
Aye.
Mayor Fung.
No.
Consent item number 8 with the amendment to increase the total words to 400, passed by a vote of 3-2, with Mayor Fung and also Councilmember Pappen dissenting.
Thank you so much. Open public hearing, and this is item number 10, the fire suppression assessment. And City Manager, I think we have Mike Sung at the podium today.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. It is our Finance Director, Mr. Mike Sung, will provide the staff presentation.
Thank you so much. Director Sung.
We have to open.
We did. Yes.
Thank you, City Manager Williams. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor, and Honorable Council members. Today we're going to talk about the fire assessment, and we're going to have the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, hang on one
Do you want to
second.
wait? Sometimes we have the staff report as part of the hearing. We open up the hearing now, or we could wait.
So I thought at the beginning I said this is the public hearing, so I opened the public
You've
hearing.
opened the public hearing. I wanted to be correct. This
Yes.
is a very important public hearing.
Yes.
And let me just say for the record, if I may, because all votes for this assessment must be submitted to the city by the time we close the hearing.
Okay, so and then
So
just
I
want to make,
want members of the public, if you desire to vote and haven't put your ballot in the mail, please come down and do that, because we have a finite time at this point.
yeah, so let me just do that anyway. So hold on one second.
Clarification?
Hold on one second. And the announcement that I actually should have made is that please cast your ballot before the city council closes the public hearing. And if you need a replacement ballot, you can contact the gentleman in the back. And Rick, please raise your hand. The right-hand corner over there in the white shirt. And he will be able to provide you with a replacement ballot should you need one. And before we close the public comment, please make sure you cast your ballot. Ms. Pappen, you have a
Yes.
clarification?
I think it's inappropriate to say put it in the mail. It has to be postmarked today. So putting it in the mail right now will not
I
qualify.
didn't say to put it in the mail. I said for those who have not
You can drop
put
it
it in
off
the mail,
here.
please come down here if you desire to vote. Your option at this point is to come in person if you are able, and we have a box here in which you will deposit
Right,
your
there's a
ballot.
gentleman in the back, the white shirt, he can give you a ballot. Okay, just want to be clear.
All right. Director Sung, please.
All right, thank you. It's a good reminder just to have everybody have that chance to vote, and Rick and Sunny are here to help assist with that. Okay, so to the fire assessment public hearing. So as required by law, conducting a public hearing on the fire suppression assessment, and here to direct the city clerk, Harrison Associates, and their assistants to tabulate the assessment ballots. This will be done tomorrow. We will open the ballots tomorrow morning, sometime around 9 a.m., a little bit after that, I believe. So just a little bit of background on fire services in Millbrae. We actually have two fire stations here, Fire Station 37 and Fire Station 38. Fire and emergency services for the city of Millbrae are provided by Central County Fire Department. These two stations are strategically located and professionally staffed within Millbrae city limits. These stations are maintained 24 hours a day. And Millbrae receives 911 fire and emergency medical response calls for these stations. Just so you can see, they're strategically placed. Fire Station 37 is right next door to City Hall on Magnolia here, pretty close to El Camino. And then Fire Station 38 is actually pretty close to 280 off of Crestview. So a little bit of more background. Since 2004, the city of Millbrae has maintained the fire assessment, and it's been there to ensure a steady stream of funding for dedicated fire services. And these type of services are funds cannot be taken away by the county or the state. So this assessment has been renewed a couple of times already in 2009 and 2014, and it's currently set to expire at the end of the month, June 30th, unless reauthorized by property owners. All parcels would pay an assessment, and if approved by voters, the assessment would continue to ensure firefighting and life-saving equipment and facilities are kept up to date, maintaining rapid response times for fire and emergency services, protected by keeping all the fire stations open, as well as the effectiveness of the fire department's first response services. Back in February of this year, a fire assessment vote was conducted. It did not pass. Although 50% of the total votes voted yes versus 47%, this is actually a weighted assessment, so different votes are weighted differently. With the weighting, it was 45% yes versus 55% no. Current existing fire assessment right now is $175 per unit for single-family homeowners. Multifamily rate is $125. As I'll be showing you in a couple of slides, the new proposed assessment is $199 for single-family homes per unit, and for multifamilies, it's $142.50. Council reauthorized the new fire assessment at the March 12th meeting with some modifications. We received a lot of input from property owners, and also approved the updated engineer's report at the April 23rd. Authorized the city to conduct a property owner ballot on the ballot. So here's actually the feedback that we incorporated into the ballot, and this is from meeting with the community, the various community meetings, just getting comments from community members, residents, businesses, property owners here. Instead of having it in perpetuity, people wanted, they seemed to like the 10-year term, so that's part of the new updated assessment. They really like the idea of maintaining an oversight committee and treating condominiums the same as other multifamily rates. Some residents expressed rate sensitivity, so the assessment was reduced from $299 to $199, and then some residents also wanted more clear ballots, so larger fonts and even color coordination of the envelopes were included in there as well. So why is this assessment needed? I think I already touched upon this a little bit, but help keep our firefighting and life-saving equipment up to date, including facilities, maintaining our good response times, and basically just equipping our firefighters to better respond to fires in Millbrae. This allows Millbrae to maintain quality emergency services, rescue services as well. For the fire assessment costs, which I had talked about, this assessment's actually going to continue to be constructed in a way that everybody pays their fair share. You can see on the little chart over here that rate per dwelling unit for the residential for single and duplexes are $199 per dwelling unit. For multifamily, it's $142.50, and then you can see how it's actually measured for all of the other entities, which are generally commercial. Public outreach. So we conducted a slew of public outreach. We've worked with our longtime opinion research professional. Our results showed that our property owners are very, very highly interested in maintaining these services, these fire services that the existing assessment provides, and they are willing to pay for these continued services. In this new round, 4 community meetings were held, April 11th, 20th, May 15th, and June 1st. Staff also continue to reach out to the HOAs, the homeowner associations, other governmental entities, such as BART and the school district as well. So it's been a pretty coordinated effort, and several property owners, I should say. Informational mailers were sent out in early April and in May regarding the assessment, just to remind people, hey, here's the information. Please vote. The deadline is today, June 11th. Accountability provisions, they would continue. We would have a citizens oversight committee, and we already have mandatory financial audits to show where the money is going, and where it's coming from, and yearly reports to the community. Post CPI adjustment would assist in keeping pace with things. That's something that we wanted to take a look at. Also, you wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that would be very difficult, so that's why we capped it at not to exceed 3%, which we believe is actually fairly reasonable. And if the fire assessment isn't approved, then staff would come back to council with recommendations to overcome the revenue shortfall. We're talking about $1.8 million. And this continuation of the assessment is really critical to ensuring the same level of services that we've been so used to, the good levels of services that we've had. This is really just a kind of a graph to show how Central County fire is distributed. Millbrae pays about 26%, Hillsborough 28%, and about 42%. And then over here for the assessment funding, cost of fire services, you can see it's gradually declining the assessment value in itself, because back in 2014-15, it paid for almost 30%, and right now it's paying for about 15% with the current assessment. If this new assessment's approved, it'll bump it up a little bit to about 18%, but it's definitely something that's a pretty good portion of the fire services budget. Next steps, we're gonna tabulate the ballots tomorrow at 9 a.m. here in council chambers. And if the majority of ballots are not against, we request we come back to council to adopt a resolution to continue the fire suppression assessment at the next council meeting on June. The recommendation is to conduct, open and close the public hearing on the fire suppression assessment and direct the city clerk, Harris Associates, and their assistants to tabulate the assessment ballots. I'd like to conclude by basically saying we should probably double check to see if there's anybody else that would like to vote here. Give a little bit of time. Talk to Rick and Sunny back there. If not, then I think we can get closing the public hearing at that point.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Sang. Just got one question. Last time when we were counting the ballot, I think it was televised. Are we doing the same this time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the ballot counting will be open for public viewing tomorrow here in the council chambers, and then it will also be video recorded by MCTV.
Excellent. Thank you. Just, all right, Councilmember Pappen, have a comment or question?
Yeah, just a quick question on the oversight. Do we ever publicize the dates of when the oversight occurs?
So the oversight, we would come back to council with a recommendation. Right now, I believe we're looking at possibly about 7, 1 from each district and 2 at large. And then once the council approves that, then that would set the oversight committee.
Great, okay. You know, to be completely transparent, as the public is asking for, I think that would be important. I don't remember it ever coming back to us in such a way. So that would be helpful. And just to remember, this is the day to vote for the fire assessment right now at this hearing. So if you have your ballot here now, you need to put it in the little box. Is there a box also out front or in the?
I believe it's only this box.
I believe it's this box right now.
Just this box sitting in the chambers here. Did we put a note out front that that other box is not where you vote?
No,
That box is locked.
That box is locked, great,
But
okay.
there is the utility box, so Mr. Gonzalez will go out after the closed hearing and go out.
Just to check on it?
And collect anything that's in there, because sometimes people do put it in
Got
the
it.
box, so.
All
Okay,
right, legal, do you have a comment?
Now or never,
I
thanks.
just wanted to clarify, in our prior fire assessments, we have not had an oversight committee. So this is a new thing that we have added to this proposed measure.
Excellent. Thank you for the clarification. Any further comment? Just for a show of hand in the audience, does anybody else need any more time to cast their ballot? Any show of hands? Okay, seeing none. So I think at this point, I think we need to take public comment, although I don't have any speaker slip, and we don't have anybody online. City Clerk, unless you see anybody.
There are no hands raised.
Okay, so at this point, I think we need a second and we need a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
We got a motion from Councilwoman Ann Schneider. This is the closing the public hearing. Okay, we have a second from Mr. Vice Mayor, City Clerk.
Councilmember Snyder?
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen? Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed.
We're closing.
5-0.
Yep, we closed public hearing, and at this point, ballot is closed. Any further discussion from the council? Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Do you want, do we need to read it, or?
No, it's okay.
Okay,
So
motion.
make a motion on item number 10 to accept the fire suppression assessment public hearing. Okay. Do we have any second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilwoman Ann Schneider? Well, no, we're already closed public comment. This is to finalize this item number 10.
I believe is to continue this to the next council meeting after the tabulation.
Sorry. So this is to continue the item until
The next.
ballot is counted?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that your motion?
Yes, I move to continue this item until the ballots are counted.
Second.
Okay. City Clerk.
Yeah, we don't need to take action.
I think it's an action.
The action is this.
We already took the action, we closed.
But the action is, then the formal action of the city council is to direct the city clerk, Harrison Associates, and their assistants to tabulate the assessment ballots. That's
And that's
that's
the motion.
correct.
So we rescind the first two motions.
No, that's okay. It's just a new, it's our recommendation. Mike, if you can put it back up to help the council, that would be helpful. So
That's what I'm saying, but the motion was different than that, so I'm saying, so we rescind those motions?
So let me do this. Let me just try that one more time. The motion maker, would you please clarify your motion? All right, let me try that again. I'll make a motion to take the recommendation from the staff that we conduct that
you direct staff.
we direct
and
the
city
staff
clerk to tabulate
and the city clerk and Harris Associate to tabulate the returned assessment ballot and report back in the next council meeting.
Correct.
That's the motion that I make. Do we have a second?
Yes.
We have a second from Councilmember Schneider. City Clerk, would you please?
Councilmember Snyder.
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Aye.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
Item number 10, is passed by a vote 5-0, where the council directs the city clerk and the Harris Associates to tabulate the fire assessment and return to the next council meeting with the information.
And Mayor, if I may, procedurally, the reason why that motion is reported is for historic purposes, right? So the council would have, if you would desire, you could delay it. You could not say, hey, staff, we don't want you to count the votes. We don't want to do this. So that's why that formal action is important for the record.
We'll count the votes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 11, adoption of a resolution approving a revised maximum garbage rate schedule in accordance with the franchise agreement with the South San Francisco Scavenger Company. City Manager, I think we have Ms. Papajohn joining us this evening.
Great.
Our Environmental Programs Manager, Ms. Andrea Papajohn, for the staff presentation.
Thank you, City Manager Williams. Good evening, Mayor Fung, Vice Mayor Goodman, council members, Andrea Papajohn with Environmental Programs. So I'm here because the franchise agreement with Scavenger calls for city council review of the adjustments in the maximum garbage rate schedule. This is an annual review. Next slide, please. Franchise agreement was approved in 2009. And in 2017, approved an 8-year extension by the City Council. The agreement expires October 31st of 2025. The rates are reviewed and adjusted each year with new rates effective July 1st. This is in full accordance with the franchise agreement, which is in Article 8, Section 8.3. Next slide, please. The rates are based on a 3-year cycle. The first 2 years, the maximum allowable garbage rates are based on 80% of the changes in the CPI, Consumer Price Index. And then the third year of the cycle, any potential changes in rates are based on a rate survey of Bay Area cities. There are 32 cities that are surveyed. The fiscal year 24-25 represents the third year in this rate setting cycle per the agreement. So Scavenger completed the survey, and the results were provided in a letter dated March 31st of this year and are included in the staff report in Exhibit A. Next slide, please. So in the table above, you will see the residential rate increases. The 20-gallon cart, the 32-gallon cart, and the 64-gallon cart shows, the next column shows the current monthly rates, and then the proposed monthly rates, the percent increase, and then the final column shows the dollar amount increase. So for the 20-gallon cart, the dollar amount increase would be $1.44 per month. For the 32-gallon cart, the proposed increase would be $2.87 a month. And for the 64-gallon cart, the proposed rate would be $5.76 per month. Next slide, please. This table shows the commercial rate proposed increases. Shows the 1 cubic yard container, the compactor, and the 14-yard debris box. Again, has the current rates, proposed rates, percent increase, and dollar amount increase. All right, so all debris boxes from the 5 mini box to the 40-yard box would all increase by 5.68%. And so here on the table, the bottom row shows the 14-yard debris box. The increase is 5.68%, and that's $41.82. Okay, next slide, please. The fiscal impact on the approval of the proposed rate increase will increase the city's fee revenues. There are 3 fees. The first one is the city franchise fee, a 10% gross receipts. The second one is the recyclable material revenue. That's 5% of sales of collected recyclables. And the third fee is the SRRE, which is the source reduction and recycling element that helps to fund the state mandated programs for everything from AB 939, which is then AB 341, AB 826, and now even SB 1383. So the total anticipated approximate annual revenue would be $1.255805. Next slide, please. The staff recommends the council adopt a resolution approving the revised maximum garbage rate schedule as required by the franchise agreement with South San Francisco Scavenger Company for the collection and disposal of solid waste. Thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions. We also have a representative from Scavenger here, Paul Formosa.
Okay, thanks for joining.
Thank you for coming, Paul.
Thank you for joining us, Paul. And then, thank you, Ms. Papajohn. Any
Yes.
questions and comment from this council? Go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Papajohn, and thank you, South City Scavengers. A couple of questions. There was a law, and I'm going completely blank right now, that may change the way cities can accept franchise fees versus the SRRE, what I'm going to end up calling an AB 939 fee on that. Because a lot of our costs for this program, which is the #1 program the city has that we all participate in that impacts climate change. Absolutely, this is a climate change action and critically important, especially organics and food scraps. So I'm in full support of the rate increases, but I'm worried about the franchise fee. And that if that becomes illegal, this has been discussed at a committee that both the mayor and I serve on infrastructure and public works, under this law, that we may lose our ability to do the franchise fees. I brought it up during budget, but I just want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on that fee, which goes into the general fund, which can be used for any purpose, could be at risk on that. So we need to be on top of that. The state is the Cal Cities is trying to stay on top of that and figure out what that means. For the residents, And I've been following all the rate increases for the other cities in the county, and it seems little, but when you do percentages, it seems pretty small. But can we go over that again so that the residents understand? If they've got a 32-gallon, which is still, to me, really big. My household is under 20 gallons. In fact, we could go to every other, because it's really only plastic and it's clean. It's just non-recyclable plastic. We could go to biweekly on garbage collection. I know we're not there. It's something my field would love to talk about. But the increase at $1.44 a month for climate change is, to me, well worth it on that. It's expensive. The cost of fuel has gone up. The cost of labor has gone up. The cost of transporting has gone up. And because we don't report out to our public what our annual recycling rates are, what our recovery rates are, there's no way to tell the public, thank you for being so good in Millbrae of participating in the food scrap program and in recycling and in limiting your garbage. And I'll make my personal pledge. Any of you still out there in the 64-gallon, I can help you. I can help you with that, at least try to save you a little bit of money. But really, if you put your clean recyclables in the right containers, you can save money. So I'm all in support of this, but I'm worried about the franchise fee, and I'm worried about special events. You know, typically for Millbrae special events, I'm out there with the Leo's Youth Club, and we're managing the various zero waste sites. And the contamination is so bad that you can't even pull out an aluminum can. So I talked to South City Scavengers for the Millbrae Car Show. But I think we need to do a little bit more work with our special events. And again, I started the commercial recycling field. I was one of the first in the country. We've got a long way to go to help our merchants understand what that really means and to get the people to participate. I'm downtown, I watch people put everything in the wrong place. So if we could do a little bit more education in there, we have a lot of young people, whether it's Interact at Mills or their Green Team or the Leos, there's a bunch of kids that we can help bring in, and it'd be a good project for them to help educate the community to be as perfect as we can be, knowing that we'll never be there, but perfect. Happy to support this.
Thank you for your comments.
And the public can be mad at me for these rate increases. Call me. We'll talk.
We'll follow the franchise fee closely. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Any further comment or questions? None? All right, I don't think we have any public comment at this time.
There are no hands raised online.
All right, so we're bringing back to the council. Unless there's any further comments. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept the rate changes?
Just comment.
Go ahead.
We don't like to see any fees go up, but I clearly understand the rising costs for everyone. So please note, we don't take these fee increases lightly, but they are needed given the increased costs all around. Thank you.
That
Ultimately, all the methane we do not create slows down climate change, which will save costs in the future on that. I would like to make a motion to adopt the resolution approving a revised maximum garbage rate schedule in accordance with the franchise agreement with South City Scavenger Company.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think I got the Vice Mayor on a second. Any further comment? City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Snyder?
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen? Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
Item number 11 passed by a vote 5-0.
Excellent, thank you. So we're at 8:59, and anyone would like to make any council comments?
Sure.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
I'd like to, again, last week, or at our last meeting, I acknowledged the courage of our residents. I'm neither Palestinian nor am I Jewish, despite my last name. But what I am is a human. I can acknowledge the humanity of us all. I can acknowledge the hurting. It was very difficult to sit through the comments tonight because of the pain of our residents. And at the very least, I do believe that they are deserving recognition by this council. I've done this before. They deserve an update. They deserve a response from us, even if it's to vote down the resolution. I believe they are deserving of that. And then secondly, in my role as a community leader for over nearly 30 years now, I have stood beside individuals throughout this county where we're 5% or less of African Americans. So knowing that, whether it's my role as a Red Cross member, as a college board member, a school board member, Boys and Girls Club board member, a coach, you can assume that I'm not doing that with only African Americans, that I'm doing it for individuals from all walks of life. I will always stand up. I will always speak out courageously against bigotry, against racism. I will not tolerate predatory practices online by adults stalking children. If individuals that are doing that are offended by that, I am sorry. But that's who I am. That's who I will always be. And to those in the community that heard those comments earlier today, don't worry about it. I am who I am. I will continue to be who I am for who you are. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Anyone else? Councilwoman Ann Schneider.
Okay, the Millbrae Community Enhancement Advisory Committee welcomed several new members. They also, with the assistance of staff, are working on two types of naming. One of the naming of the plants that are drought tolerant or in native species, et cetera, et cetera. So they did not budget that in their budget. I think it fits well below what the city manager can spend, but they've got that. And then they have the Adopt a Spot program. And to the public, the Adopt a Spot program has one spot at the corner of Hillcrest and Hemlock. And then the new spot has been adopted by the Millbrae Leos Club, of which there are over 160 kids in that club now. And they have the 4 bioswales on Taylor Boulevard and on the corners of Almanar and Ashton, and they're going to be cleaning that up. So the other sign that the MCAC is working with staff is a sign for Adopt a Spot, and they'll both be looking different. Actually, and then there's a third sign, which is sort of a plaque for up here in front of City Hall, which explains what the new gardens are and how great the new gardens in front of the fire department and the police department and City Hall, and how our artwork looks so fantastic. All now that it's all clean and fresh and the trees are trimmed, there'll be some new signage. There is further discussion about what is happening with the tree ordinance, which I understand is coming to our council meeting our next meeting on that. But their main work right now is that. But their other main work is on a series of workshops, environmental workshops, including compost. And I'm going to wrap this composting in that the state of California, the Department of Water, made a ruling on the Bay Delta Plan. The ruling of that Bay Delta Plan could, in droughts, mean that the cities with senior water rights, of which Millbrae is a part of that, could lose 50% of our water. That's one of the reasons why, and I'm grateful for staff for moving ahead on the recycled water project. We're creating that new water supply that will help us in those times of drought. But the other thing that really helps in drought is to prepare our soils to be more drought resistant. So one of the projects they're going to be rolling out is a compost workshop on there. And it would be lovely. And if the city needs help and we can work with South City Scavenger, we get some clean mulch, stuff with not a lot of weed seeds, and we mulch all city properties as an example of the value mulch adds to soils on that. And it would tie in nicely with the composting workshop, which I believe is going to be held up at the rec center, as opposed to the community garden, which was where it was last summer. So those are tying in. Going into Bosqua, I have a Bosqua meeting, the Bay Area Water Supply meeting tomorrow on policy. The big policy is finding additional water supply on that. So be aware of water supply issues, even though we're not in this drought period, that it's really critical. I think we were supposed to have an infrastructure council subcommittee. I thought and we're supposed to have a homeless subcommittee. I think it's been pushed into July, but I'm really looking forward to looking at, and I brought this up at a previous council meeting, looking at one of the city parking lots as a place to do an RFP, this is my dream, it hasn't come to council, an RFP for a public-private partnership for mixed-use housing with parking inside for low-income seniors. We are the city with the largest senior population, and a lot of us, old folk, live up in the hills, and it gets harder to get down from the hills. So if we had more housing down on the flats, we'd be doing a good thing on that. So I hope we can have that meeting. The Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee will be releasing the TDA Article 3 grants. I understand that we're currently looking at that one. It seems like we're going back to annual TDA. This will be probably my last 7 or 8 months on the BPAC. I'm there as a public representative, and since I'm gone in December, we will lose that seat. There are a couple of seats there if there's anybody in Millbrae who would like to serve as a public member of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Those openings come up fairly often, and we meet in Burlingame now, so it's actually quite nice for us. And with that, emergency services. Our April meeting was pushed into May. Our May meeting was budget. I think I talked about this 2 weeks ago, but I'm going to go on public record here. This is my 9th year on city council, and at this meeting, we were talking about the sources of funds for emergency services funding in San Mateo County, and 1/3 of the budget comes from SFO. So I asked the question, of that 1/3 of that budget, where is that money spent in San Bruno and Millbrae, where we are greatly impacted because the airport blocks our access to drain into the bay? And nobody could give the answer. And when I asked some follow-up questions, the president of the San Mateo Board of Supervisors and the chair of the Emergency Services Council interrupted me and said, "You're talking too much." And I'm going on record that that was wrong, and it was wrong to the people of Millbrae on that. Now, we're supposed to have a meeting next week, and that has been canceled. They have changed the direction of where they're working on. They're no longer going to concentrate on fires, of which we have never done the fire work in Millbrae, to working on earthquake, which of course we all need to work on. But we are a wildland-urban interface, and we need to be concentrating on getting our city and our people, and that the county is supposed to be assisting with that with disaster preparedness, and that is supposed to be some of their use of Measure K. Instead, those Measure K funds are going out to coast side. So it's yet another thing where Millbrae has to start speaking up for itself regionally, where we're being punished. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
real quick, so little, July 9th will be the tree ordinance, not the next meeting of the 25th. And then just for knowledge of the community, the drought tolerant landscaping in front of City Hall, because there's been some comments, was funded through a grant that we received.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Anyone else? All right, go ahead, Ms. Cahalan. Take your time. All right, go ahead, Councilwoman Pappen.
Reporting out on the committees, Senior Advisory Committee has been working diligently to advance our age-friendly programs. They have also been going forward, of course, with their senior lunches, which are very successful, and bingo. Participated in the San Mateo Pride Parade, which was very nice. Also, the Mills High School celebration, which we went through earlier. Curious if we can get a report on the vandalism that occurred at the rec center. We have, I'm a part of the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority, so they are pursuing a bond measure to be on the November ballot, which would assess the property owners certain tax here in order to provide affordable housing. 80% of the funding comes back to the county. 20% is maintained by the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority, which again has some really great programs. One is the housing portal, which anybody can access right now. It's a one-stop shop where you can find affordable housing throughout the region. Update on the transportation legislation that was proposed by Senator Wiener and Senator Wahab. That has failed. There will be a meeting tomorrow at MTC to see what next steps are in supporting keeping our transportation providers from going over a cliff, some more than others, but also I think a part of the problem with the legislation is it got way off track. Our jurisdiction includes Caltrain, Samtrans, and CCAG all voted to oppose this with specific objections or amendments requested, none of which were addressed by the author. And I think that happened throughout many jurisdictions. As to infrastructure, labor was really strongly opposing because there wasn't enough funding or specificity as to what infrastructure funds would be spent on. The remote access legislation, which we were all hoping for advisory boards to reach quorum, currently stands as only allowing the state legislature's advisory boards to report remotely. We are still continuing to fight that process. I had a congestion management and environmental quality meeting, and sadly, we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't act. And this happens frequently throughout our jurisdictions because people have to come from all over the county and many from the coast, and it's very, very difficult to get a quorum. So we do hope that that legislation is amended to allow advisory committees within our cities and counties to participate, if need be, remotely so that quorums can be reached. And I think that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So much.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, real quick, because it was, Councilmember brought it up. The vandalism at the rec center is limited to 2 infant changing stations and 2 different restrooms that were broken. So any vandalism is significant, but this is minor. So what we did is we closed the upstairs to drop in students coming in, but we still keep the upstairs open for reservations and classes. So it was 2 baby changing stations and 2 different restrooms. I don't want anybody to go away thinking there was a major event.
And my question is, if I may, hopefully we have cameras upstairs to prevent this in the future. And just as a final note too, I've requested to be agendized the gas gardening equipment, as our neighboring jurisdictions have been done. I haven't heard back on that request.
You mean the leaf blowers?
Yes. I think of just leaf blowers at this point
Her
to be
request was leaf
consistent.
blowers. All right. Okay, so this is not a discussion, but this is a request from Councilwoman Pappen, and we got it. We got it. All right. Hold on 1 second. We'll come back to you. Councilwoman Cahalan.
Thank you. I want to thank our community for your persistence in continuing to come back and share and speak about the ceasefire resolution. I feel and hear your pain deeply. I think at the least, our community deserves an update, and at best to have it back to council for a discussion and a decision. This past weekend, we had our Pride celebrations. It was really beautiful in Millbrae to have our flag raising. One of the speakers at the event spoke about how important it is to have that symbol and what it means to folks in the community. And as I was going through my middle schooler's yearbook, I saw that Taylor has a Gay Straight Alliance, and I reflected on what that flag can mean to so many youth that hang out there after school and on the weekends. So proud that we're showing that support in our community to our residents, and was also a part of the Pride Parade for San Mateo this weekend. Maybe next year we can have a banner and have a big Millbrae contingent participate. Very much looking forward to Juneteenth. Had been looking for the parade route, so thank you for sharing that tonight. Hopefully we get word out and a lot of folks out in the community come and watch the parade and join along, come to Central Park for the celebration. I had the opportunity to volunteer at the Rotary's golf tournament, and it was a wonderful celebration and just so grateful, or wonderful fundraiser, and so grateful to everyone that comes and participates that to support our city. The San Francisco Roundtable, Airport Roundtable met last week, and we passed our work plan for the year, and our ground-based noise study will be starting in the next couple of weeks. Another thing happening at the state level is the governor's looking to cut funding from Older Americans Act that comes to us, and that will impact senior meals across the state, probably including self-help for the elderly, which may get some of those funds. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet, but that could hurt. No?
We'll look into it, but I do not think that they're part of that funding, but we'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just keeping an eye out for the meal programs serving homebound seniors in our community. So, thank you.
All right, thanks for the update. Councilwoman Ann Schneider, you have something?
I forgot, I have two council agenda requests. One is, in talking to the community, it has to be a ballot measure for the general election, but it needs to come to council for a discussion, and whether or not council will approve it is to look at term limits and how term limits are impacting Millbrae's ability to gain regional leadership roles on that. The second one, and we've had people coming publicly here for several months now, talking about the 5 districts and the options of going to 4 districts and elected mayor, or getting rid of districts entirely. The city attorney gave us a confidential memo. I've been unable to update the public because it's a confidential memo, so I can't tell them. So I'm requesting an agenda item to go on these issues so that we can talk about it in the public of what we can, what we cannot do. I can say that I participated in a session up at Cal Cities in April that said some things that might have differed from what's in that memo, but I can't talk about it. So I would really like to bring it to council as soon as possible. If we are to look at any of those and they are to go to the voters, the timing to get... I didn't understand that. Sorry. The timing to get this on the November ballot is clicking. It's got to be done in the next 6 weeks, is my guess. Really, before anyway, the election calendar is ticking, so we need to see that ASAP.
I suppose legal will research it and get back to the council. Right, okay, all right, thank you. Legal, do you have any further comments? Unless you do, otherwise I'm going to move on. Okay. Nope, unless you wanted to. Okay. So I wanted to congratulate the Millbrae Rotary Club and us as a city. We have a very successful partnership with a very successful Mayor's Cup golf tournament. They've successfully raised $27,000 in change that will continue to enrich our youth in terms of their scholarships and many other youth programs that are going to be offered at the Recreation Department. So that's wonderful, and thank you, Rotary Club, for your partnership. And this is the 5th year, and we look forward to many, many more. Attended the senior luncheon today and celebrated the Father's Day with all the seniors in the audience and all the fathers. Thank you, Park and Rec staff, Self-Help for the Elderly, and all the volunteers who made today's celebration possible. PCE, the state of California has self-generation incentive program. Legislature has provided some grant funding opportunities available to help income qualifying Mateo County residents to install solar panel and batteries. The goal for PCE is for up to 200 customers, $4.6 million of funding to help ratepayers to install the solar and the battery, which would certainly help with decarbonization goals. The average per ratepayer is $23,000 per household. That's very, very significant. It's a very substantial incentive. So PCE also will contribute funding for the program to provide 0% loan to help these ratepayers to upgrade their electrical or roofing to make this solar installation possible. So more information will come soon, and please stay tuned, and I promise it will go fast. So SMC, Transportation Authority, has issued calls for ACR and TDM projects from different cities. The appropriation is for $6 million, and it can be used for planning TDM measures like shuttles. So I think the deadline for the application is August 30th this year. And so I suggest our staff to get in touch with the TA staff ASAP and actively go after these opportunities, because we know we need these shuttle programs for many of our residents, seniors and the like. So that's the update for now. Unless anybody else have any other comments, go ahead.
Question on your solar. My house is going to be 100 years old in a couple of years, and when we brought solar in, they said just based on the age of the houses in Highlands that they would not put solar on our tar and gravel portion of the roof. So if staff could check into that and find out how much more that would cost for people with older homes to try to put on solar. You said 200 homes would qualify?
200, up to 200 ratepayers. It's what the allocation is, and up to 4.6
And that's in San Mateo
million.
County?
That is in San Mateo, that is within the service area of PCE, which is San Mateo
In
County
PCE.
and Los Banos.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, so on that is just for the purchase and acquisition of the solar arrays. If I think maybe, Councilmember, what you're referring to is the structural issues, so the weight of, and I don't believe that the grants.
That's not within jurisdiction of the city to look into.
Yeah, so I don't believe the grant is afforded to structural improvements for the building itself. It's only for the solar array.
So the grant is for the installation of the solar panel and battery.
Yep.
And in order to make some of these installations also require upgrade on the homes, for example, the roofing and the electrical system, PCE is offering 0% loan to help upgrade their homes to make these installations possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Councilwoman
Final
Pappen.
note, too, I'd like to thank Assemblymember Pappen and Senator Becker for getting us the vehicle license money back. They're also working on the REAP money. I forget what REAP stands for. Sorry about that. They are also working desperately hard to get funding for the Broadway grade separation in Burlingame, which is the most dangerous grade separation in the entire state. So fingers crossed they can help resolve that matter. But thank you for all of our representatives working very hard. Legislation, I think, like this week, budgetarily speaking, is still a struggle, but we hope we can move things along so that San Mateo County can get their fair share. Thank you.
All right. Any final comment? All right. I adjourn this meeting at 9:22 p.m. Thank you all.
City Manager, do we have an update on the